So I haven't done too much progress on this. This is an update, a second video, if you're following along, on the Joshua Bardwell FPV DIY V2, version 2, which I believe means 2023. So maybe he had another version in 22 or 21, or I don't know. So I've been sort of trying to plan out my next steps as I build it. So in his video, he has you take the receiver and double stick it back here and connect it over here to TX and RX4, which is UART4 when you program it in the flight controller. But I think instead of what I'm going to do, first, I don't like the idea of double sticking something on top of something that's double stuck onto the chassis. And secondly, something that's a heat source on top of a heat source. So the other drone that I started on, and I also have not finished, because I had a pad lift on my flight controller. I do have the replacement flight controller, I've just never gotten back to this, and then when I got this, then I decided I wanted to do that. So I wanted to do something similar to what I did here, which was to put the receiver on an arm. In this case it's on the front. In this case I think I'm going to put it on the back, and I will explain why. So in his video, he puts it here, he double sticks it, he runs the cord over, and he puts it right here. But what I'm thinking, because I would like to be remote ID compliant, so I actually ordered the flight test remote ID module. I got the version with plugs, so there's two versions. There's one where there's a plug built into the circuit board, and there's one where you're going to have to attach wires and solder it, just like practically everything else you connect. So, whoops. Oh man, what did I just lose? I'm sorry, this remote ID module has outs for GPS, and this flight controller has GPS inputs, and that's over here where the UART4 was located. So instead of following his guidance and putting it here and connecting here, I think I'm going to put it on this arm because I'm going to connect it there. So that's currently the plan. And then my receiver that came with my Zorro controller had two radio antennas. So it came with a short guy and it came with a long guy, and hopefully these both have good and similar RF characteristics. I probably actually should look, because it's usually the antenna element that affects the transmission frequency and pattern. So yeah, so that one shouldn't have any effect on it. But because I can have the longer one, I could probably still easily get over to the mount. I don't know if I'll be able to go through the standoff or not. But anyway, that's the plan for that. I, for the longest time, was fooling around with a mount for the receiver. So this was something I got offline. I printed it with TPU, and then my thought was that this could somehow mount, underneath it. And so then when this plate gets put on top, maybe it's underneath. The problem is, so this print plan came with 20, 25, and then I think this is 30 offsets, and there was just nothing here that really corresponds to that. And so finally I just said, you know what, and these are me playing around with the infill percentages, and I had an issue for a while with a clogged nozzle when I went from PETG to TPU, which is flexible. So ignore the stringing and the shoddy look of that. But anyway, back on point. So there's no easy way to put it underneath here, and then if I've attached that, now when I take this off, I have to put it next to it or somewhere near it, because now it's attached. So I kind of like the idea of this being not attached. I can't give you a good practical reason why, but anyway. So I'm going to put the receiver here, use the clear, and attach that way. And then the next thing is going to be to figure out where or how am I going to mount the GPS module, because that's one of these two is the GPS receiver. I think it's that one. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the Joshua Bardwell video on this to see which one it is. Which is also something else I want to mention. Be very careful whose advice you take online. This is not my first remote ID module. I watched someone's YouTube video and they're like, oh, this is the cheapest, and you can go in and you can pre-program it, because there are some people who are like, oh, well, I'll comply, but I won't comply because I'll have it spoof a different location for where I am, or something like that. And so just for giggles, I bought that module. I get it. Then I go to integrate it, and it only works with an ARDU, that's ARDU, flight controller. And, I know I'm new to it, but in what I have seen, most people are not running that flight controller. So fortunately, it was only $40, not a big deal. This one was originally $120, and it's been marked down to $90. Anyway, so I'll have to put this somewhere and then connect it here, and this will give me GPS input. Side note, this soldering station has worked out perfect. So as you can see here, what I was able to do was put this in this clamp. It's loose now because I was done, and I just put it back in here for the video. And then I used the wire in the alligator clip to hold it, and then just position this where I want it. And then the Sainsmart fan and light have worked out great, because if you use flux solder, the flux as you solder is going to throw off smoke. So it's nice to have that little fan pulling that out of your face, because invariably it comes towards you. It seems like no matter which angle you go at it, the smoke finds you. So there's that part. And then I've been using this one to actually hold the drone. So this one's definitely much beefier. This is beefy too, but this is part of the Sainsmart kit. I'll put a link to it in the description. And yeah, so it's worked out great. The kit, I think there's multiple kits, but this one was normally $100. I got it on sale for about 80. So it comes with your plate. This is a metal plate. These are all magnetic mounts. So let me pull this out there so I don't mess anything up. And so you can put this anywhere, and then once you put it somewhere, as long as there's not something underneath it, it stays in place. So that's pretty solid. Comes with the soldering holster, pair of clips. Just as a side note, I did have a problem with the clips. And so the problem I had with the clips, the rivets. So on this side, you can see it's mushroomed out. This side, it's mushroomed out. So this is a good clip. However, on this one, mushroomed out, no mushroom. So when you open and close this often enough, this pin pulls out, or if you open it up all the way, it has a tendency to pull through. And then of course it doesn't hold anything. So it did contact Sainsmart, and they're sending me replacement clips. So this came with 3. 2 out of the 3 had this problem. And this clip was okay. So there's a third one here somewhere. There you are. See, good, bad. So there they are, side by side. Good versus 2 bads. So this thing's really worked out well. It's nice to have the additional light. This other one's got a magnifying lens. You can also change the color. I kind of like having one with a daylight blue, and then the other one's soft white, and it seems to be a good combination. So that's where I am with this. I just soldered the receiver last night. Yes, I have color-coded wires, but these were my spare wires from the motor, and I figured they're about the right length as far as what I wanted. Right, so I'll trim them down just a little bit, and so yeah, that's next. And then to me, the advantage here is I'm going to be careful. I'm going to make sure the receive goes to the transmit on the controller, and the vice versa for the other one, and then hot and ground. And then once you solder it, you know, no one's looking at colors anyway. So that's where I am. Thanks for your time. Hopefully that was enlightening somewhat. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.